Today I fricked up. Sweet Smile says, today I fricked up be reading to my kiddo, resulting in the opposite reaction than what I intended. My child has a very strict bedtime routine which consists of them reading me a beginning reader's level story and then me reading them 3 children's picture books or 3 chapters in a longer kids book series like Sideways Stories from Wayside School or My Big Fat Zombie Goldfish. Kiddo is usually really good at falling asleep right away, but recently we went on vacation which disrupted this routine a bit. The strange bed and the excitement of the trip made it hard for the little one to fall asleep. Nothing we tried worked: meditation, soft music, rearranging the pillows and blankets. By 1 AM we were all tired and desperate for sleep, so I pulled out the book I had brought to read on the plane, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I figured kiddo was a bit too young yet to really enjoy it, but if I read softly it would put them to sleep. I sat on the edge of their bed and began slowly and quietly reading about how Gandalf knocked and invited Bilbo Baggins on an adventure, and how the dwarves arrived and were treated to hobbit hospitality, even though their arrival was unexpected. I tried to keep my voice low and my reading slow to ensure that my child could easily fall asleep. My husband drifted off after the first page, but kiddo's eyes stayed open for a while. Finally my kid rolled away from me and snuggled down into the covers. I decided to finish the first chapter because I have only seen the movies and never read the book. Then I grabbed a piece of paper from the notepad on the nightstand as a bookmark and slowly went to stand up to go to my bed. Suddenly kiddo sits up and loudly says, "And then what happened?" Turns out kiddo was not too young to understand and enjoy Tolkien. Took us about a week and a half of reading a little each night, but we finished the book together. Now they want me to read the Lord of the Rings series. My husband was able to convince them to try a little science fiction first, so we've been going through a lot of books my husband enjoyed as a child. Too long, didn't read, tried to bore my kiddo to sleep reading a novel and instead sparked a love of fantasy. Terrible by Karika says, this isn't a foo, this is how to be a good parent. Sweet Smile says, haha, not at 1 AM. Still took another hour to get the kid to sleep. They were so exhausted the next day. Terrible by Karika says, I know that the timing's rough, but he's gonna remember the times you read to him and look forward to more. Mutthinky7 says, this is so cute. This will be such a treasured memory for them. Wishful Thinker 87 says, my dad started reading those books to me when I was around 7 or so. It is one of my core memories from childhood that I will always treasure. It also encouraged me to branch out to reading other genres of books that I never thought I would like. Zimius says, I had The Hobbit on an audio CD, remember when audiobooks came on physical media? And used to fall asleep to it when I was around the same age. I must have heard that thing over 50 times. When I watched the movie, I was slightly miffed by the scenes looking way less cool on screen than what my younger mind could dream up, even though I didn't really remember the plot anymore. Miss Shell 1024 says, you didn't frick up, you just changed the course of your child's life in the best way possible. Kudos to you. Sweet Smile says, let's hope so. Kid is not a huge fan of reading by themselves, yet but loves being read to. Shiningrade says, random memory. Way back in college, I took a child psych course, and part of it, buried in the overpriced textbook, was a child raising simulator, a text-based adventure. The situations were scuffed. I vividly recall one night where the options presented were read them a bedtime story or feed them dinner for once this week they are so hungry. See, naturally, I was guilt-tripped into actually helping my child survive and was rewarded with their epilogue. They did great in sports and had a bunch of friends and everyone thought they were cool, but he was borderline mentally handicapped and illiterate. String Binjet says, if you want to try a little science fiction first, you could read Artemis Fowl. My kids loved it. Usual have 1463 says. My kids are 17 and 14. Occasionally they will cuddle on the couch and let me read to them together. They think it's cute of me to do it. I take all the time they give me. Vicky O says. I honestly think reading The Hobbit to a young kiddo is the way to go. Because by the time I got around to it myself, I had read so much other fantasy that The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings seemed like a cliche, a pastiche of tropes I've already read and seen so many times. Better that you start them with the classics, then they can read more modern stuff themselves and get the references. r/today I fricked up. Nopamegran at 4491 says. Today I fricked up believing my strap-on at my parents' house. Throwaway for obvious reasons lol. My girlfriend and I, both 24F, had some time off of work this month, so we decided to do a trip to my hometown to visit my family and grab some stuff that had left at their house. We live a decent drive from my parents, think 10 plus hours, so we made the drive over 2 days and decided to stay with them for a little over a week to break up the driving. This is where the frick up began, because we were driving and wouldn't have to deal with security x-raying our bags. We decided to bring our bag of sex toys with us, including a strap-on. Also, for some background, my girlfriend and I have a pretty active sex life. We probably have sex maybe 4 or 5 days a week and the strap-on gets used maybe half of those times. Anyway, we get to my parents' house and had a really nice week. Went to a concert, saw a sports game, did some shopping, spent time with my family. Overall a really nice time. The only problem is that my bedroom at my parents' is right across the hall from Fizz and my mom has been WFH since the pandemic. So at night it feels too risky to have sex, since they're right there, and during the day there is always someone home. We used to have sex way more often than this, so it gets frustrating quickly. While we're at my parents' house, we also notice that the bed in my room is the exact right height for being bent over, and that the angle would be perfect. But since someone is always home, we can't have sex. Anyway, one blessed morning my mom goes to run an errand. My dad isn't WFH, so he was at the office. To be extra sure, I check both locations on Find My Friends and the coast is clear. We quickly get down to business. I end up bending my girlfriend over my bed and, frick, eyeing her from behind. Turns out we're right, the height and angle are perfect. After we have sex, we're both sweaty and tired, so we lie on the bed cuddling. I take the strap-on off and put it on the floor to wash and put away later. A few days later, our trip is over and we start driving back to where we live. This time we decide to do most of the drive the first day to get it over with and to stop only a few hours from the city we live, so we won't have much driving to do the second day. We get to our Airbnb and we're excited to finally be able to have sex as loudly and for as long as we want, so I go to get the strap-on from the bag. But weirdly, I don't feel it in the bag. In a panic, hoping I somehow just missed it, I turn the bag inside out and dump the contents onto the bed. The strap-on is not there. My girlfriend insists that I dig through my backpack as well. I do, even though I already am pretty sure I know what happened. As you can probably guess, it's not there. It slowly dawns on us that yes, the used strap-on is on my bedroom floor at my parents' house. We contemplate driving back. We are over 10 hours away at this point, and anyway, what would we tell them? What could we have left that is so important and urgent they couldn't just mail it to us? We can't think of anything plausible. But obviously, we can't just leave it there for my parents to find. It's not even clean. I start making a mental list of everyone I'm still in contact with from my hometown, hoping that somebody owes me a massive favor or is a saint. I have a brother and a sister I could ask for help at the cost of being clowned on for the rest of my life, but they're both out of the country and not coming back anytime soon. My best friend from high school is on a semester abroad, so she's also out. I've fallen out of contact with most of my other high school's friends or they've moved away. My options are not looking good. There's no way to make this sound less bad, so I'll just say it. I asked my high school ex. We're on good terms and stayed friends. I know it was an insane person to ask. Trust me, I didn't want to, but I was out of options, panicking, and every minute of inaction was another minute where my parents could be stumbling across the strap-on. I bite the bullet and text her to ask for an embarrassing favor. She responds immediately asking what I need. I explain the situation. I tell her I need her to go my parents' house, which she hasn't been to in years, go into my room, and move the strap-on to somewhere it won't be found. She lets me and my girlfriend sweat for 45 minutes before she answers. Her reply, "Oop. I'm ready to cry." Not only is she not going to help, I told this whole embarrassing story for nothing. She starts typing again. She asks what she's even supposed to say to my parents to explain why she's at the house. I tell her that well, say that she's picking up something of hers. It's a little hard to believe, but not totally impossible, I guess. She agrees it might work. I say I'll text my parents to let them know to expect her. She asks me to remind her to do it the next day and says, and I quote, "I'll try." I'm sweating. This is not the level of commitment I was hoping for. And what does she mean she needs a reminder the next day? Was this insane conversation not memorable? But I'm afraid to ask her to be more definitive in case she decides that actually, frick, doing this, you're on your own. I text my parents. I tell them to expect her, that she's picking something up from my room. My mom offers to put whatever it is in the mailbox to make things easier for everyone. No, frick, I think. I tell her it's fine, and that I already gave my ex the code for the garage door. My mom just says okay. The next day arrives. I text to remind her first thing in the morning. No reply. I check my phone every time we stop on our drive. The message I hadn't even seen until after 1 PM. That night, my ex heroically drives over to my parents' house and successfully moves the used strap-on off of the floor and into a drawer underneath a stack of clothes. I thank her profusely and tell her I owe her a million favors and that she's a hero. I think we've gotten away with it. Then, 2 days later, my dad texts me that she came to pick up whatever it was and that it took her a while to find. He's definitely suspicious, but hopefully he'll just think that my ex and I are dealing drugs together. Too long, didn't read, girlfriend and I, frick, at my parents' house, forgot to pack the strap away after, and had to be bailed out by my ex. Boss of this gym says, "What the frick is wrong with my feed? Every hour someone is leaving a sex toy in a place they shouldn't." Toydland says, "Yes X101, when you finish you account for the clothes and the toys. Leaving underwear I can maybe see Thailand washing the toys shortly after. Even at home we are not letting them sit overnight." Sharkbait5 says, "Not trying to add to your anxiety, but I literally scan the house and strip the bed sheets almost as soon as my adult kids leave, just in case something important was left behind." Dina6812 says, "My mom is the same. We have had her come out to bring us something to the car that we've left. As in we haven't even gotten out of the driveway." Serious Beginning 252 says, "Let me guess, you left your guitar strap at your parents' house and now you can't rock out properly at home?" Ginger 2020 says, "This reads like some very specific fetish porn that's typed with one hand." 3i says, "Why wouldn't you ask her to get it out of there and mail it to you?" Nopamegron at 4491 says, "I thought that I was already pushing it asking her to do this. That felt like too much to ask of an ex, even one I'm friends with." Jashila V says, It's mortifying, but honestly your parents know you're la doing the deed. Own it unapologetically, no regrets. Chiliticus 123 says. Nice LARP. Jivamias0al says. I mean, so what? You're out. It's not like this without you or anything. As a parent, if my adult children have SOS staying with them sharing a bed, the assumption is they will be banging in it. Richard Oda says. Where was the NSWF tag on this one? I read this as today I fricked up believing my strap on at my parents' house. As in you showed up to your parents' house strapped. Shadowblue 909 says. Just ask them to turn it off. PM me your chestums says. Took her a while to find it. Yeah, she was licking it. Bluebell Rhyme says. You realize she definition snooped around your room a whole load looking for old diaries or whatnot? That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.